optional way, and tourists would love it. I'm telling you, they'll love to be left on their own if they can kind of go and discover the city on their own. They'll love it. So that's the proposal that we have. Okay, now coming on to a destination project. Now, Pan City we did, retrofit we gave some ideas. Pan City would be also connecting, like I told you, to all the tourism sites in the city. Now, this is a destination project which will give identity to the city. So, everybody can contribute their ideas. We were zooming into something around your riverfront, where a city like Bombay has this kind of a space around Bandra, Carter Road, where people can, just go down there for a walk. It's a car-free pedestrian promenade, nothing more. It's got no food, no nothing, no toilets, just a promenade for people to walk, just a clean, nice space for walk and for some people to sit around. We are the firm who also undertook the landscape design for the Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad. This is the project that we completed, and these are some pictures of that. And this is what it looks like, reclaiming your river for the people. That's the whole idea. We were very proud that Prime Minister Modi actually chose this as a venue when the Chinese president visited India. He was first flown down to Ahmedabad, and this was the venue where they were walking together in the park. Now this is our river. Why can't we try reimagining? I'm not saying let's make Sabarmati. I'm saying why can't it be better than what it is now? That's all. Let's come up with some kind of ideas. I mean, it's such a fantastic expanse. It's much bigger. It's mightier. It's one of the best rivers in the world. And how does the city engage? Can we do something? That's the whole idea. Now, the length we are looking at is about 30 kilometers riverfront. All the potential, open up the views, make it more accessible, make it, don't open your drains and your polluting sources directly into the river, and reimagine the whole riverfront. Again, idea which we think is a good candidate for destination projects in the city. Even your present parks could be reimagined to create something like that. So this is the riverfront, and how, we have marked out the highest tide level, and we've kind of worked out wherever the land allows us, we can do something like this. We can tuck in a few things there, allow for people to access it, and reimagine it like that. We also came across a study done by Pradeep Sachdeva on the riverfront, which already some work is done, and we think the city could probably look at that and probably use all of that work for making up the proposal. This is that proposal found done about 2007 or 2008. I'm not very clear. Okay. The next point, all the yellow slides are the points from the MOUD website. This is multimodal integration. Now, Guwahati is planning, I heard, and I read a report on putting in a metro system. Now, when you have a metro, then a lot of things happen, and a lot of things can be planned for the benefit of the city. So we want to kind of start imagining what the metro will do and what we need to do in order to be prepared to bring in the metro. So it's a public transport system which is not obviously going to bring you to your doorstep. It's something that you will have to make the last bit of your journey will have to be walking, cycling, or on other forms of transport. So the whole idea of multimodal integration is to make available all different types of modes of transport that you need to connect to your destination. Because a metro station to your workplace, metro station to your house, All these will be the missing links. What happened in Delhi, the metro was brought in and the connections are still not done. So even after we travel on the metro, which is a fantastic 5-star experience, but as soon as we are out of the station, we do not have even a footpath to, kind of take us where we want to go most of the time. So now there's a program in Delhi where we have initiated, where we are focusing on the influence zone around every metro station and bringing all the modes together. So what I'm saying, while we are doing streets, while we are doing the open space master plan, the trails along the drains, along the rivers, if we keep this in mind and plan or at least see that the metro stations come up in the right positions so that the connections can be easily achieved rather than let the metro come and then figure out where and how we connect. So that is an exercise, and this is what we once a metro is there, then we do a thing called ped shed, meaning how many pedestrians can actually access that, what is the intensity, what is in terms of distance that they have, and what kind of modes. This is a metro station, elevated one, where you see the existing situation is like that, and this is what has been proposed. So all the different modes come together. You as a pedestrian, you're just walking straight. If you want to take a feeder bus, you'll come here into this. If you want to take an auto rickshaw, you'll come here. So like that, all these modes are organized around a plaza. So this is something that the city can start putting in place, start planning for. And there's a thing called mixed use. Now, when the metro comes, also in Delhi we have got a system where we are planning to allow for mixed use. Like this mixed use, by the way, is being recommended by MOUD as part of the smart city. This is the master plan of Guwahati where you're talking about single use, but I understand that every use has a percentage of shopping and retail which is allowed. Now, this is your metro map where the metro is planning to come in. And like if we can do a greenfield project and look at value capture around the future metro. This is like really looking at future, but this is something that we can really plan, where we are looking at compact development around the transit stop. We are looking at work-home relation, mixed-use development, where accessibility of that development is through the public transit, not through private car. You have enough principles available these days with special organizations which are called TOD, transit-oriented development, which talk about walking, cycling, public transit, which all of it will go. And what we do is around every metro station we start analyzing the land use. We are allowed special FAR permissions, meaning we get extra FAR around the metro, we get extra mixed-use permissions around the metro, and then all kinds of densities that we work with. So these are your metro corridors, and we identified a land between the Brahmaputra and the Diparbal, and this is the new area for residential development, and the metro line is going somewhere there. So, and this also qualifies in terms of the acreage that I told you earlier. Now this is how it moves. The metro moves like that, and one side is a lake and one side is your residential, proposed residential, and then you have the river. What personally I think is that if the metro were to do that, instead of going along the road, go through this development, then this whole new development could become easily accessible. I mean, for people staying there, they need not actually go anywhere. They have the metro right there in the center of the development. We open up views, axes, green corridors, and reimagine the place as a TOD district. This is something in Delhi which we did around the metro station, where we are talking about high density, compact, mixed use, liner block, active edges, all of those. Like every little block has mixed use categories coming. When you land inside the metro, at your concourse level, you're connected to the other four sides, and you can land straight in your residential pocket without having to cross the road. So this whole project actually was taken up as a pilot project for Delhi, which is now being implemented in Delhi by NBCC, and it was proposed by UTPEC DDA. And this project also talks about low-income group housing. Now, one of the criteria in the smart city plan is that, we, as most of the cities, do not have any stock of housing for what you call economically weaker sections. There aren't any available schemes for the poor people to buy a house or to own a house. So this new development that we talked about actually has a compulsory, like a 15% compulsory EWS kind of a law. So you have to reprogram. This is what the housing in Guwahati looks like. And if what we are saying that this particular site could be reprogrammed, the metro could come inside, you could replan the entire housing as a green field and then demonstrate. This project could be like a sample, like a pilot for demonstrating a new typology of development for the city where everything is built around a metro rather than metro coming in. Now when your city is in the parts which are already built, you can't do too much there because you don't have options. But here you can plan a new city and make the metro the centerpiece, and you connect directly to the metro. You don't need to, you'll never ever need to think of the car again. Now, applying infrastructure solutions to infrastructure, all kinds of technology these days available. City is already using quite a bit, but we can update all of that. So the lighting comes on, timer-based, CCTVs, sensor-based, traffic management. All of this are those IT solutions. Once your city has got its infrastructural focus right, then I think these could be anyways added up to that. So just trying to summarize, what we are doing is a riverfront in the Pan City. This is what we are thinking, but obviously it's open for discussion. A green field down here. All the roads get retrofitted. All your drains get cleaned up as part of the Pan City. So we have 4 projects, and all 4 literally will change the way Guwahati works and moves and celebrates and lives. I think it will solve so many problems for you. So that's the smartness that we are trying to kind of invite comments. If you can add, or if you can think of some better solutions. Now, financials. There was this big discussion in one of the forums where we were looking at what is the kind of money that we are getting and how are we going to do all of this. So the idea is that that money that we get, you leverage that to get you more so that you can do what you want to do. So, for example, the Sabarmati riverfront, I don't know how many people here are familiar with that. That whole river, actually, the whole riverfront costed something like 2,000 crores. And the entire money was given to the SPV, the Special Purpose Vehicle, as a loan. And what they did was they reclaimed some land next to the river by channelizing the river and started selling that property, and only 10% of the area was needed to be actually sold, and the entire cost of that scheme was recovered. So what we are saying is that there would be smart solutions to even how you want to run your financials. It's not just about the ideas. If we can think of sustainability, mobility, financial programmability, livability, all of it together. Meaning if we have one project or one proposal which can bring all these smart kind of things in one thing, I think then we have a fantastic chance of making it. Because that's what is going to be the challenge. Every city is trying very hard to come into the first 20. Now, for Guwahati to go there, this is the broad idea level discussion that we are having. So this is Sabarmati. London has done parking management and also has got a thing called congestion charges. If around Paltan Bazaar every day there's a traffic jam, all of us know it. And what are the steps we can bring in? First of all, I think parking is one of the biggest things that the city should seriously start looking at. And then all these other options other cities internationally have tried. Barcelona, by the way, finances its entire public bike share program through the money it collects from parking fees. And bike share program is a pretty expensive program to run for any city, meaning you have bikes available for everybody, then you have transportation of the bikes from station to station, you have GPS controls. It's quite a expensive proposition, but to finance it completely out of parking. Now, presently, what is the kind of money that the city here would be making on parking? I think most of your parking is free, most of the time. So we can look at it as a resource also, meaning parking as a way to finance our programs. And these are figures from Barcelona, so if all of you can look at it over the net in London. Even like this is what that parking I was telling you for cycle parks, the bicycle program. Here, you know, if you have public toilets, if you have public kiosks, I mean, these guys will pay you revenue, advertising revenue to actually come and do this. And this will be a service for citizens. People will be able to, you know, enjoy their public spaces better. It will be more comfortable, more convenient for people. Public toilets. Most of the cities do not have a decent system of public toilets. If you're out in the open, then, you know, I mean, these are essential. But these pay for themselves. In Delhi also we have the NDMC model where toilets are being built and advertising revenue is paying for the upkeep. Here we thought arts and crafts thing, riverfront cruise, a floating market, you know, all kinds of, you're going to have coffee, wine tasting, urban tea tasting, you can have urban farming along the greenways, you can actually have, I also understand there is fish farming happening, but you can actually do vegetables and flowers and you name it. I mean, there's so many ways that the city can earn money out of its open spaces. Parking revenue, like I told you, to create friendly streets. Parking, if you price it right, then you can manage the demand. You know, in Delhi Connaught Place, if you ever have to drive down, and the parking rate there right now is 30 rupees an hour, incremental, every hour 30. So, I mean, if you were attending a meeting or a day-long meeting, you actually land up paying so much, you start thinking, do I really need my car to drop me there, or can I take the metro? So that whole change is coming about. So what we are saying, we can, you know, kind of leapfrog and go there right now, instead of going down the path, you know, because Delhi has really suffered, and air quality there, I think now we are #1 in the world in terms of pollution levels. So challenges or opportunities? Are we looking at like all of these problems that the city has? Are these challenges? I think they are super opportunities. The same challenges can be the opportunities for Guwahati to make it. So all the problems that we have, we've managed to turn them around and make them opportunities for us to look at from right down from our open space, our streets, the way we move. So again, just winding up, PAN City, all the proposals together. And to conclude, I think this is the way we want to end. Like, the city of Guwahati will transform all its challenges into opportunities for it becoming a smart city. Thank you so much.
आपको दिखाना चाहिए फॉन्ट, और क्योंकि ये सारे प्लान्स आप देखेंगे, आपको जब इमेजिनेशन समझ में आएगा, और आपके पास जो इमेजिनेशंस हैं उनको हम क्लब करके एक नया आयाम दे सकते हैं उसको. तो यही हमारा एक उम्मीद है आप लोगों से कि जो भी यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, एक इंटेलेक्चुअल ग्रुप है हमारे पास जो कि इसमें हमें सहयोग कर सकता है, क्योंकि कई चीजें हमने अपने तरह से लिखी हैं, अपने जो मेट्रो सिटीज हैं या जहाँ फॉरेन से जिस तरह के फैसिलिटीज हैं उनको लेकर के लिखा है. बस गुवाहाटी सिटी के लिए क्या ये सही होगा या नहीं होगा, इसके बारे में हम थोड़ा सा इंटरेक्शन करेंगे. एक 15 मिनट जो हम लेंगे केवल ई गवर्नेंस के बारे में थोड़ा सा और बता देते हैं. दैट आफ्टर दैट वील गो फॉर द इंटरेक्टिव सेशन. सो आई विल रिक्वेस्ट मिस्टर M.A. Khan, additional chief engineer of Wapcos Limited, to throw light upon the this mygov.in or also citizen participation through e-governance. Mr. M.A. Khan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Before I start with my presentation, I would like to brief about myself that I'm in WebCos from 1991, and I had been involved with taking up my various MIS related studies, web-based as well as on a dynamic web portals. And I had an opportunity even to work for Gujarat State for that integrated workflow management system, where the 28 departments were interlinked and were made successful, and in the Gujarat becoming the second state in India to be a paperless office. With that, I will start with my presentation. My presentation would start with that actually, in fact, as you know that this particular exercise which we are doing of smart city proposal has basic requirement is the interaction of citizens participation. Without that, actually the proposal is divided into two parts. One is for 30 marks and another is 70 marks. 70 marks is with our experts and your contribution, which is coming from the citizens partnership. Now, before I start with the self-assessment forms and other things, I would like to say that, see, this particular exercise has to be done only through online citizens participation. Now, as much as you give the voting discussions and essay competition is also online, you start voting maximum votes with suggestions and creative ideas, smart solutions will gain us to enter into the nearing 30 marks. Now with this, I will start with my presentation. The mygov.in is a portal which has been created by, it's a citizens engagement platform founded by Government of India to promote and participate of Indian citizens in their country's governance and development. Now, how to see, my presentation will include that how to register, because there is a procedure for registration. I will show the screenshots. That the first screen when you go to mygov.in, the first screen comes is that login, register. Now, first time when you, as a new user, when you get it registered, see the beauty of this particular portal is, it is not only for urban smart cities, it is for many other works which are undertaken by Government of India. So once you get registered, you are logged into all the portals which are available inside the mygov.in. Now, first, for getting it registered, what is the procedure? I will go to the next slide. Now, when you get it, go to the registration, it says, it's not visible here. It will ask for the name and your email ID and the country which you belong to, like India, and say, and it asks for the mobile number. As soon as we enter the mobile number, what happens? You get a one-time password in your mobile. See, this is again this thing that they don't want that a single mobile number should be used for a single registration. Now, as soon as you get it registered, उसमें लगा के लाऊंगा।